evening, I'm Sarah Donaldson, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. And I've got Curtis with me here as well. The 5 candidates running for Republican U.S. Senate nominee met at Miami University last night at the end of the first day of early voting. Josh Mandel, J.D. Vance, Jane Timken, Matt Dolan, and Mike Gibbons are fighting for their chance to fill outgoing U.S. Senator Rob Portman's seat. During the debate, Mike Gibbons was compared to a grade school bully by former Ohio GOP Chair Jane Timken. After Gibbons and opponent Josh Mandel got into a nose-to-nose confrontation at a previous debate, Timken said she would lead with grit and grace. Ohio's newly passed gun legislation that allows Ohioans to carry a gun with no training was also a topic of discussion at the debate. All 5 candidates support the bill, saying it is a citizen's right by the Constitution to bear arms. Mandel added that he believes the right to bear arms is actually given by God. The debate concluded with a conversation about Ukraine, where all candidates said they supported Ukrainians in their fight against Russia, but they would not support U.S. troops on the ground. A United States congressman from Ohio is retiring. GOP Representative Bob Gibbs says he is a casualty of, quote, the circus, referring to Ohio's unresolved congressional maps. Gibbs serves 6 terms in the House of Representatives. He is also exiting a primary race in Northeast Ohio, which under new temporary maps puts him up against a Trump-backed Republican. He says 90% of the electorate in the redrawn 7th Congressional District is all new to him. Trump weighed in to congratulate Gibbs on an accomplished career. He called Gibbs a strong ally in the fight against, quote, the radical left. The governor of West Virginia misses deadlines to pay the United States government millions of dollars he owes. Jim Justice was ordered to pay $5.1 million by a federal judge in 2020. This was after a lawsuit was brought by the U.S. Attorney's Office and the U.S. Mine Safety and Health Administration. The lawsuit was against 23 companies, saying Justice failed to pay fees associated with hundreds of mine safety penalties. According to federal court documents, since at least December, Justice has been late on these payments. A former federal prosecutor and West Virginia native will sit on the state's highest court. C. Haley Bunn from Wyoming County in West Virginia was appointed to the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, following former Justice Evan Jenkins' resignation in February. Jenkins went into private practice. Bunn comes from generations of coal miners. She served as a federal prosecutor for 7 years, mostly focusing on the opioid epidemic. And before that, she practiced law in the private sector in Charleston. Now I'm going to throw it over to Erin with weather.
Sarah, and we're actually tracking some pretty severe weather out just towards the west, and that's going to push into our region as soon as potentially right now. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the tracks, and we're going to see where this is headed in the direction. So if you look right here, you can see that the storm, the squall line right here, is going to start moving a little to the northeast. And if we go ahead and pull up the tracks, you can see that the stronger parts of the storm, where you see that really dense, that really thick color of red down here, that is going to start pushing up into areas such as Gallia County, as well as Jackson, and even Athens might see some severe weather chances heading throughout the evening today. As we dip into the evening hours, expect hazards to be heavy rainfall. You're going to see that chance for some severe thunderstorms, but again, heavy winds are going to be another thing you want to look out for. So those heavy winds are going to come along with those long bands, of that red color. So as you can see, it's just going to keep pushing up into our viewing area, into the western parts of West Virginia, and to the southeastern parts of Ohio as well. And so if you are in the line of this squall line up over here, like in Pomeroy, as well as Ripley and Gallipolis, you're going to want to take cover as soon as this arrives, because your main threats are going to be severe thunderstorms, including high winds. High winds are dangerous because they will tear down tree limbs and even power lines. I'll talk about this more in my full forecast, but I'm going to throw it back over to Sarah.
Well, my name's Curtis, but I can go by Sarah. Columbus police are charging a man for making terrorist threats. According to court documents in December of last year, police were made aware of a post on the social media platform Discord. On the site, James Mead II said he wanted to crash a plane into the Anheuser-Busch plant located in northern Columbus. Mead allegedly wrote, quote, "I hope they got a terrorism insurance plan." WCMH reports Mead is facing charges of making terroristic threats, and a warrant is out for his arrest. Gallia County Sheriff's Office is seeking information for their ongoing investigation into the shooting of livestock. According to a press release, the incident took place on March 20th around 9:45 p.m. in the Raccoon Road area of Clay Township. They also believe the animal was shot from a vehicle on the roadway with a high-powered rifle. The Sheriff's Office is seeking information on the case. And the Ohio Farm Bureau is offering a $5,000 award to anyone who provides intel leading to the successful arrest and prosecution of the culprit. If you have information, please contact the Gallia County Sheriff's Office at 740-466-6555. Again, that's 740-466-6555. An investment firm buys... Ooh, sorry, Sarah, there you go.
That's okay, Curtis. An investment firm buys multiple paper mill plants, one of them being Chillicothe's Pixel Specialty Solutions. The Chillicothe paper mill employs about 1,000 people. A news release from the company did not say what effects the sale would have on local jobs. HIG Capital, a firm with $48 billion equity capital, bought these plants. The Chillicothe Gazette reports terms of the transaction have not been disclosed. Pixel also has plants in Maine, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and they produce more than 1 million tons of paper annually. The Biden administration is continuing its pause of federal student loan payments. And the U.S. and its allies lay out new sanctions as the war in Ukraine intensifies. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
I knew that this is a way to cure cancer. I knew that that was a way. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let that just lay around.
What if nothing we thought was right? The skepticism was widespread. Jim experienced it probably every day. Part of Jim's success is the fact that he doesn't care that he's not following convention.
I think any great big disruptive change is going to take some single-mindedness.
Jim Allison, Breakthrough.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
Very, very cool.
On Finding Your Roots, Regina King.
Pain is inherited, as well as joy.
And Damon Lindelof.
My identity as an American is ever evolving.
Old Family Wounds.
Do you think trauma like that is passed down?
Felt for generations.
Where we came from is an essential part of solving life's mystery.
I don't know what I expected. This is pretty fantastic.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
In Zambia's Luangwa Valley, a future king was born. From one year to the next, he embarked on a journey towards greatness. Whenever he was challenged, he'd respond audacious and bold. He was on the cusp of supremacy, a formidable contender to the throne.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
Americans paying back student loans will get a few extra months of relief. The Biden administration today extended the current pause on federal loan repayment through the end of August. While President Biden says the economy is getting stronger, he wanted to give borrowers more time to save and boost their financial security. Balances on student loans have been effectively frozen for more than 2 years now, with no payments required. That pause was set to expire May 1st, and it impacts most loans except older ones known as federal family education loans, which are not technically held by the government. 3 of the largest credit reporting agencies in the U.S. recently announced they're dropping medical debt collections. And with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, experts say now is the perfect time to work on your credit score to secure lower interest rates in loans, along with credit cards and mortgages. In today's Consumer Watch, 3 things one expert recommends you do right now to improve your credit score.
Where's your credit score at? It could rise in a few months after credit reporting agencies EQUIFAX, Experian, and TransUnion announced starting July 1st, they'll remove nearly 70% of medical debt that went to collections from consumer credit reports once it's been paid off.
And typically that would still be a derogatory account, but even settled medical debts are going to be removed from credit reports.
Experts say when debt is placed on your credit report, it could make it harder to get access to credit or loans. And with the Fed increasing interest rates, it could pay off to look for other ways to raise your credit score in order to keep borrowing costs down. David Mahalik from Credit Vergio has 3 tips to help you improve your credit score this year. Number 1, pay down credit card debt. It's the second largest section of our credit score.
If you have high credit card balances, if you start leveraging credit card debt a little too high, it's not at all uncommon to see scores drop 40, 50, 80 points or even more.
Number 2, get added as an authorized user on a credit card from a family member or friend. That way, their great credit history will show up on your credit report and potentially raise your number. And number 3, put payments on auto pay. Create an account for all your bills to pay online and set up for minimum payment so that you don't forget.
You don't want to see that big drop in credit score because you got a 30-day late on a credit card and you forgot because you had to pay it off and there was an annual fee.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Experts also recommend that you regularly monitor your credit. Big oil may not help lower prices at the pump anytime soon. CEOs from ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, Shell, and other energy companies told lawmakers Wednesday they would not reduce dividends or share buybacks, strategies designed to keep stock values high for stakeholders. Democrats in Congress are calling on them to put the money they spend into increasing production instead. The CEOs said they can increase production while also returning value to shareholders. But they also admitted to facing large hurdles in boosting production. They blame shortages in labor and equipment for keeping production lower than it should be. Experts say energy companies are also reluctant to invest in production because they remember when the price of oil plummeted to negative territory in 2020.
Western allies are seeking more pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin. The European Union, the G7, and the U.S. announced expanded economic sanctions, while the U.S. Department of Justice announced actions against the Russian regime. This comes as NATO foreign ministers kicked off a summit with an acknowledgement that Russia's war on Ukraine could last for years. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington, and a warning viewers may find these images disturbing.
Amid more startling images from Ukraine,
responsible nations have to come together to hold these perpetrators accountable.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the Justice Department is helping to collect evidence for possible Russian war crimes prosecution.
The United States is, at the request of the Ukrainian prosecutor, assisting in the collection of information with respect to the atrocities that took place.
Garland announced a number of U.S. actions, including charges against a Russian oligarch for sanctions violations and the disruption of a botnet controlled by Russia's military intelligence agency. This, as the White House joined European allies in imposing new economic sanctions on Russian financial institutions and on Russian President Vladimir Putin's 2 daughters. But at a NATO summit in Brussels, an acknowledgement the conflict could last months, even years.
We have seen no indication that President Putin has changed his ambition to control the whole of Ukraine, but at the same time we have to be realistic and realize that this may last for a long time.
On Capitol Hill, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned of the economic toll of a long Russia-Ukraine war, with its disruption of the global food and energy markets. The EU took its first steps towards sanctioning Russia's energy market this week with a proposal to ban coal imports. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Mariupol's mayor in a press release said the city has lost 5,000 citizens. I'm going to throw it over to Aaron.
And we're still tracking the severe weather to push through our region. The threat for severe weather will subside by 9 p.m. today. But what does all this rain mean for us tonight? I'll talk about it in my full forecast, but for now, take a look at stocks of local interest.
I knew that this is a way to cure cancer. I knew that that was a way. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let that just lay around.
What if nothing we thought was right? The skepticism was widespread. Jim experienced it probably every day. Part of Jim's success is the fact that he doesn't care that he's not following convention.
I think any great big disruptive change is going to take some single-mindedness.
Jim Allison, Breakthrough.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
These galleries are a very good example of the achievements of the Muslim world.
We start off with what people know, and then we get to a sense of discovery.
Islamic art is not simply just an Arab art.
The tremendous mix of world images, cultures.
What we are really eager to show is the very great diversity and the very great richness of the Islamic world.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
On expedition.
I'm in Mexico with a crack team of cave divers on an expedition where no one has been before. Check that out! What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Zero visibility, and it's really tight!
No way.
It's like a river flowing underneath the water!
My brain is popping. It's so much more than we expected.
This is what adventure is all about!
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Russia's military assault of Ukraine is underway.
He's been called the most dangerous man in the world.
There's this grievance that's eating away at Vladimir Putin, and it's fundamental to his tenure.
The inside story of Putin's road to war.
I think he's more dangerous than he's ever been. He will grind the country down to a fine, fine ash. He will not be humiliated by people he calls little Russians.
A Frontline special report.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I hope you guys are staying nice and dry and safe in your house because the National Weather Service has us under a marginal, most of our viewing area, under that marginal risk for severe weather tonight, and that is because of that squall line of thunderstorms that we have seen moving throughout our region today. But overall, we're going to see that chance for thunderstorms begin to decrease overnight, and the threat for severe weather will be subsiding as soon as 9 p.m. And that's because of, as you can see on the radar, you can see that around now is you're going to see this patch of yellows and reds start to arrive up towards Ironton, and it's going to make its way up towards Parkersburg. And so again, the main hazards that come with this system are going to be heavy rain and heavy winds. So if you're out on the roads or if you're out on the sidewalks, make sure you grab your umbrella, your rain boots. But overall, I would recommend staying inside because again, there is that threat for severe weather as that system develops. And that is going to be coming from out here towards our west. And that's going to be because of that cold front moving out towards us, as well as that all that warm, moist air moving up from the Gulf in combination with the cold weather, the cold air moving down from the poles. That combination is going to stir up a little bit of chaos, and that's going to be the reason for that squall line you see moving up towards our region, and that's going to be the cause for a little bit of severe weather tonight for the majority of our viewing area. Again, the chance for severe weather is going to subside by 9 o'clock, but rain is going to stick around tonight. 80% chance of rain showers, and that low sits at 43 degrees today. The sun is going to rise tomorrow around 7. So overall, it's going to be a really rainy night. So again, just make sure you plan accordingly. And that's going to be because of that low pressure system that's going to move out towards our east as soon as tomorrow. But again, you're going to see some spotty showers early on tomorrow because of all that rain that is just going to stick around. And again, we're going to have some nice clouds covering as well. But that marginal risk for severe weather is going to push out towards the east. We're looking nice and safe over here in our region as well. So just make sure that you are planning accordingly tonight and into tomorrow morning because again, the chance for rain is going to stick around into tomorrow. It's a little bit less, 30% chance of rain tomorrow, and that high is going to reach close to 60 at 58 degrees here in Athens. So it's going to feel a little bit warmer, but it's going to be gloomy because of that chance for showers, as well as those clouds that are just going to stick around. That low sits at 35 degrees, so overnight tomorrow, make sure you grab that coat because it's going to be cold heading into the weekend. And so again, looking tomorrow night, we're going to see that chance for rain still stick around in our area, and that's going to, again, head into the weekend. As we are looking at a 60% chance of showers on Saturday. And then rain chances are going to start to leave the area as soon as Sunday with those clouds beginning to open up. And that high is going to be at 54 degrees. And looking at the 7-day outlook, expect for that chance of rain to actually begin to appear again early into next week. 40% chance of rain on Tuesday. It's going to increase on Wednesday as well. But again, look at those beautiful temperatures we see in the lower 70s. But overall, make sure you stay inside and make sure you stay safe. But again, more dangerous weather is likely to hit the south again, and that's because of those thunderstorms we've seen. And while the bulk of the rest of the country will see high winds, rain, or even snow, Amy Kiley reports that as states are still recovering from Tuesday's deadly thunderstorms and tornadoes.
Today is about picking up the pieces for survivors of deadly storms and tornadoes in the south. But the dangerous weather isn't over yet. This video is from near Savannah, Georgia, where this tornado and severe thunderstorms turned deadly. 3 hours inland is more destruction. 100 miles east of Dallas, this is what's left of a trailer park in the city of White House.
We ran straight to the bathroom.
As soon as I got to the kitchen, the tree came through the house about 6 inches from me.
It raised the trailer up a couple of feet and blocked us in. We had to have the fire department come cut things out so we can get out.
The National Weather Service says this destruction is from a downburst of winds up to 100 miles an hour. Local officials say a 71-year-old man is dead after a tree fell on his mobile home here.
Great guy. He was a cowboy, and anytime he needed help, he'd help. He was the best neighbor you could ask for. We'll miss him.
Closer to Dallas, 4 people are lucky to be alive after this flash flood. South Carolina lawmakers took cover during a tornado warning Tuesday. 70 miles south in Allendale, people are coping with this damage. Today, most of the country could see high winds, rain, or even snow. Forecasters warn of more dangerous weather in the south. The same week as the Masters tournament, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and the Carolinas will likely be at the center of the storm. I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Coming up in sports, Ohio softball goes into extra innings in its first game of the doubleheader against Akron. That story is still ahead. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
I knew that this is a way to cure cancer. I knew that that was a way. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let that just lay around.
What if nothing we thought was right?
The skepticism was widespread. Jim experienced it probably every day. Part of Jim's success is the fact that he doesn't care that he's not following convention.
I think any great big disruptive change is going to take some single-mindedness.
Jim Allison, Breakthrough.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
On Expedition.
I'm in Mexico with a crack team of cave divers on an expedition where no one has been before.
Check that out.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Zero visibility, and it's really tight.
No way.
It's like a river flowing underneath the water.
My brain is popping. It's so much more than we expected.
This is what adventure is all about.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
I was convinced it had to be Alzheimer's.
A devastating illness.
This was the beginning of the end.
The quest to find the cure.
This is one of the most important studies being done worldwide.
How are you going to take care of her?
There may be an avenue of slowing down this disease or, in fact, preventing it entirely.
To think of all we've learned, this is quantum leaps.
Determined, fighting Alzheimer's on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
These galleries are a very good example of the achievements of the Muslim world.
We start off with what people know, and then we get to a sense of discovery.
Islamic art is not simply just an Arab art.
The tremendous mix of world images, cultures.
What we are really eager to show is the very great diversity and the very great richness of the Islamic world.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back. I'm Juliana Colant. Ohio softball picked up a couple of key wins this afternoon against Akron. Ohio struggled to score in the first game. That is, until the bats came alive in the bottom of the 7th. 3 Bobcats came home to tie the score 3-all. 3 was the magic number in an extra 8th inning. Ohio's Allie Englert blasted a 3-run game-winning homer for a 6-3 final. Ohio's energy carried into the second game. Englert scored in the bottom of the first inning and in the bottom of the fourth. Analia Paoli hit a home run. That led Ohio to later walk away with a 2-0 victory. Following this series sweep, Ohio next travels for a series at Ball State this weekend. Both of these games have an impact on the Mid-American Conference standings. Ohio sat in 6th place prior to today's doubleheader with a 5-4 record in the MAC. Akron sat right behind them with the same conference record. Miami led the way with a 9-2 conference record, with Buffalo falling behind at 5-2. Central Michigan, Ball State, and Bowling Green are among the other teams that sat above Ohio. With the results from today's games, it could have an impact on where both Ohio and Akron stand in the conference. The Cleveland Guardians and Jose Ramirez decided to spend more time together today. Sources indicate Ramirez and the Guardians agreed to a 5-year, $124 million extension. The extension keeps the veteran third baseman under contract through the 2028 season. Ramirez has been with the Guardians for his entire 9-year MLB career. He has been a key part of their success in recent years. This trade comes at a perfect time for Cleveland, who is preparing for their season opener tomorrow. The Guardians make their debut in Kansas City against the Royals. Cleveland hopes to start off the season strong after a second-place finish in the ALC Central last season. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Reds travel to face Atlanta Braves tomorrow. The Braves won their first World Series since 1995 last year, but the Reds look to spoil the champs' home opener. The Guardians step up to the plate at 4:10 p.m. and the Reds play at 8:08 p.m. tomorrow. The Cleveland Cavaliers have 2 regular season games left before the play-in tournament. The Cavs were locked into the play-in last night after losing to the Orlando Magic 120-115. Cleveland kept pace with Orlando but couldn't pull ahead. Cleveland sits at 7th place in the Central Division. The Cavs' opponent is to be determined, as several teams remain in the hunt. The Cavs stay on the road for their second-to-last game Friday against the Brooklyn Nets. Then their final game of the regular season will be home at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The Columbus Blue Jackets are back in the win column. The Blue Jackets beat the Flyers 4-2 yesterday in Philadelphia, after having lost 7 straight games. Justin Danforth scored the go-ahead goal in the 3rd period before Columbus added an empty netter with 20 seconds remaining. The Blue Jackets return to home ice in Columbus tomorrow to play the Flyers again. Puck drop is scheduled for 7 p.m. I'm Juliana Colant, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Sarah.
You may have to be clever to outfox the folks on Capitol Hill, but a different kind of fox, a 4-legged one, ended its run there Tuesday. Animal control workers captured the animal that made itself at home on Capitol grounds. It's not clear where the animal will be taken, but a rabies test is likely. The animal was tracked down after 6 people reported being bitten or nipped, including Representative Ami Bera. The California Democrat said he was nipped on the leg on his way to work Monday. He's doing fine, but is undergoing a rabies shot regimen out of precaution. Capitol Police warned that there could be more than one fox den near the hill. Over to Erin with final weather.
And as we look into the evening hours, expect for that squall line to just continue advancing through our region, and the main hazards are going to be heavy winds and heavy rain. So best stay inside, and that severe weather chance is going to subside by 9 p.m., but rain will stick around heading into tonight.
Well, that was a mouthful, but that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Curtis Fader.
And I'm Sarah Donaldson. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from GOLDSBERRY Wealth Strategies in Athens and Parkersburg, focusing on helping people achieve a life well lived with a custom strategy. Information